by Charles P. Pierce. Oh, he writes in Esquire magazine. You want a scary number, he writes? Here's a scary number, 34. 34. That's the number of state legislatures required to call a new constitutional convention under Article 5 of the Constitution. See, the guy's an idiot right out of the box. It's not a new constitutional convention, you doofus. It's a convention of states. Have you read Article 5, Charles? Do you know what it says? Does it say constitutional convention? Have you read anything about it, Charles? To constitutional experts, a new convention is like talking about the neutron bomb. What's with all the hyper-language? Neutron bomb? And who are these experts? We have experts, too. Advocates of the Article 5 movement insist that they can limit a convention to certain topics. That's exactly what they're doing. Most of these topics are pretty awful on their own, as they seem to be directed at reestablishment of the Articles of Confederation, if not the Confederate States of America. See, this guy is a disgusting human being. So tell me, how are term limits creating the Confederate States of America? Can somebody tell me? How is that so? How are term limits for Supreme Court justices as well? How is that creating the Confederate States of America? How is balancing the budget, limiting taxes, limiting borrowing so we don't destroy the financial center of this country? How is that the Confederate States of America, you jerk? Nobody is talking about... Let me explain something to everybody. Nothing can pass without 38 state legislatures. The difference here is that rather than Congress proposing amendments, the states propose amendments to themselves. How is that like the Confederacy? It's nothing to do with the Confederacy. How is that like throwing out the entire Constitution? It's an amendment process. Tell me, did the Bill of Rights throw out the entire Constitution? Tell me, is Mr. Pierce against the first 10 amendments? Is Mr. Pierce opposed to the 13th, 14th, and 15th amendments to the Constitution, these so-called Civil War amendments? Is Mr. Pierce aware that it took state legislatures, the same ones I'm talking about, to pass these amendments to the Constitution? Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, due process, warrants, probable cause. Yes, outlawing slavery, due process and equal protection for blacks in this country and so forth. Is this fool aware that without state legislatures passing these amendments, that they would not be in the Constitution? Is he also aware that his endless arguments for a centralized, massive federal government is a threat to your liberty? Serious constitutional scholars are scared to death of one. Well, that, and the fact that we be trading in James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and George Mason for Mark Levin and the bizarre political fauna of places like Kansas and Kentucky. I'll pass. The problem is that the country might not. You're not trading Madison, Hamilton, and Mason for Levin, because Madison, Hamilton, and Mason wouldn't even recognize the Constitution today. And by the way, genius, Madison supported Article 5. Hamilton supported it in the Federalist Papers. Mason wrote it.
The Founding Fathers knew this might happen. Article 5 of the Constitution gives the states the power to stop a runaway federal government, a convention of states to amend the Constitution. It's the only solution as big as the problem. It's time to stand up, speak up, and show up. Join us at conventionofstates.com.